Okay, I wanted to go through and work the practice problems for the assessment that will be on Thursday. You will be able to use your notes and certainly your area and perimeter formula sheet. I think that'll be good. The important thing to have in your notes is to make sure that you have the information about alternate interior angles, same side exterior angles, corresponding angles, and how they relate to each other. So those are really the two key things that you need to have. All right, let's start. Number one, this is a trapezoid, and if you remember, the area of a trapezoid is equal to 1/2 the sum of the bases times the height. Well, we take 1/2, in this case the bases are 4 centimeters and 10 centimeters, and the height is 6 centimeters. We add the two bases together, and then we're going to multiply that, which is 14 centimeters, times 1/2 times 6 centimeters. Now, when you put this in your calculator, and I'm not going to mention this on all of them, but 1/2 is equal to 0.5. So all you got to do is put 0.5 in there and multiply that times 14 and times 6, and you come out with 42. Now, do not forget that any area problems that has units, you need that. And remember, the area is whatever the units are squared. So in this case, the answer is 42 centimeters squared. Okay, let's work problem number 2. Problem number 2, we're supposed to find the area, and we want to leave it in the form of pi. The area formula is pi r squared, but I always like to write it as r squared pi because that puts the number out front to start with. The radius in this case is 8 inches, so we're going to take 8 inches and square it, and then multiply that times pi. Well, this just ends up being 64 square inches pi. 64 pi, and you could write that square inches this way too. Either way. All right, so there's your answer to number 2. Number 3. I'm going to make my line a little bit thicker. All right, now, the first thing when you have problems that are similar to this, again, we have parallel lines. They're cut by a transversal, and so you have to figure out what kind of angles these are. Well, these angles are both corresponding angles, and we know that corresponding angles are congruent to each other. So that means we need to set these, negative 6x plus 39, equal to 5x plus 193, and then we can solve for x. So that's the key in these problems, is to make sure that you know what kind of angles they are, and then you can set up the problem and solve it with algebra. So again, I'll go through and solve this one algebra-wise. We're going to subtract 5x. From both sides, we get negative 11x plus 39 equals 193. We're going to subtract 39, and we get negative 11x equals 154. If we divide that by negative 11, we come up with x equals negative 14. And that's your answer. All right. Number 2. Or I'm sorry, number 4. Problem number 4. Simply finding the area of the square. Again, the formula for area of a square is the length of the side squared. So we have 10 meters. That's the lengths of our sides, and we're going to square it. So the answer ends up being 100 square meters. Problem number 5. Area of a regular triangle. Regular triangle is an equilateral triangle, and that formula is equal to side squared times the square root of 3 divided by 4. Alright, so in this case the sides are 12 feet. So we're going to take that times square it, multiply times square root of 3, divide by 4. 12 squared is equal to 144 square feet times the square root of 3, all that divided by 4. And when you work that out, it says to round it to the nearest tenth. So your final answer is 62.4 square feet. Make sure you can do that in your calculator and get that right answer. If you don't, come and see me and I can help you get your calculator straightened out. Problem number 6. Again, what kind of angles are these? They're corresponding angles, and those angles are always congruent. So we're going to set this problem up. Negative 2x plus 104 equals 134. We go through and we solve this by subtracting 104, and we get negative 2x equals 30. Dividing by negative 2, our answer gets to be negative 15. X equals negative 15. Moving right along, number 7. These angles are alternate interior angles, and again, alternate interior angles, if you look on your notes, are always congruent. So it's simply x is equal to 59 degrees. Alright, problem number 8. Moving right along at a good clip here. Alright, that formula for the area of a rectangle is just the length times the width. So you have 12 centimeters times 8 centimeters. And wow, when you get done there, it's 96 square centimeters is the area of that rectangle. Problem number 9. These are also alternate interior angles, so they're congruent to each other. And so we'll set this problem up. Negative 9x plus 214 equals 88. Go through and do the algebra part of this. Subtract 214. You get negative 9x equals negative 126 divided by negative 9. And you come up with your final answer. X equals 14. Problem number 10, a little bit tricky, but really you've had all this information before. So let's start filling in this diagram with the angles that we have. First of all, angle BDE. Angle BDE is this angle right here, and that equals to 33 degrees. The next angle they give you is ADB, and angle ADB is this angle, and they say that measurement is 68 degrees. And the angle that you're looking for is angle CDA, that's this angle. Now if you'll notice, those form a straight line, so they add up to equal 180 degrees. So if I subtract these two angles from 180, I'll get my answer. So let's see, 68 and 33 add up to equal 101. So I'm going to subtract 101 from 180, and I get my final answer is 79 degrees. So this angle, whoops, 79 degrees. This angle right here is 79, because 79 and 68 and 33 add up to equal 180. Number 11. Number 11, we have alternate interior angles, and they are congruent, so we're going to set negative 6x plus 198 equals 4x plus 48. So we'll solve this one just like we've done the other ones. It's really just a basic algebra problem. Subtract 198 from both sides. So I get negative 6x equals 4x minus 150. And you say, why didn't I subtract the x's first? Really, to be honest with you, I've done that on all the other problems, but this one, it does not really matter which one you do first. Now I'll subtract the x's, and I get negative 10x equals negative 150. Divide that by negative 10, and we get x equals 15. Number 12, the formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. 1/2 times the base in this case is 10 inches. The height of this one is 11 inches. If you multiply all those things through, you get 55 square inches for the area of the triangle. Number 13. A little bit of a story problem here, but it's pretty simple. They're telling you that this angle here is 150. You've got streets that are parallel with each other. And so that means that forms a straight line. So A plus 150 have to add up to equal 180. Well, solve this just like an algebra problem. A ends up being 30 degrees. All right, problem number 14. These are corresponding angles. So that means they are equal. I'll go back to my old method here of subtracting the x's first. So I get 2x plus 110 equals 84. Subtract 110, and I get 2x equals something. How about negative 26? And if we take those answers and divide by 2, you get x equals negative 13. Problem number 15, we're halfway done here. Area, 1/2 the base times the height. 1/2 times the base, which in this case is 9 inches, times the height, which is 24 inches. We multiply all that out, and we get 108 square inches. Number 16 is the area of a circle. R squared times pi. They want you to leave it in the answer, and it forms a pi, so 3 squared pi. And we get 9 pi. But again, remember, it's inches squared, so the answer is 9 pi square inches. That is problem number 16. Problem number 17, again, corresponding angles are congruent. So x plus 52 equals 47. Subtract 52. And we get x equals negative 5.